What's going on, family? How's everything going? I pray and I hope that you are having a phenomenal day. It is my prayer every day to have a phenomenal day. And not only me, but I hope that everybody that's connected to me is having a phenomenal, productive, powerful day as well. And so today is no different. We are getting ready to have an amazing conversation, a part of our Fireside Chat series and edition that we have here at the Global Leaders Roundtable podcast. I'm super excited about getting an opportunity to talk to people, leaders from all around the world. And let me tell you, it has been enlightening, it has been riveting, it has been my honor to do this work in connecting with leaders, kingdom leaders from around the world in various different industries. And listen, today we have a special guest as well who's going to be speaking about a topic that not many people like to talk about. We're going to really raise this conversation. I believe it's going to be something that you want to stick around for. Listen, I'm your host, Kenyon R. Dudley, global leadership strategist, keynote speaker, and I am the founder, the builder of this bold and growing space for transformative dialogue. And for those of you who are just getting a chance to meet me, my assignment is simple. It is to say something that's going to transform someone's thinking, someone's life. It's going to point them right back to God. Why? Because your purpose is in God. Your life, everything concerning you, your destiny is wrapped up in God. And I believe that if you find Him, and you get to know Him a little bit better, you'll find who you are as well. We like to, move forward and manifest that vision and mission partly through this platform and through conversation. So if you're tuning in right now, you are tuning in to a great conversation that's going to do just that. Make sure you like, tag, and share, and go ahead and subscribe to this channel. You do not want to miss a thing. Listen, I'm going to jump right into today's conversation and bring our guest up. She is an international voice of insight, of faith, and fearless commentary. Dana Carter is a leader who has never backed down from the hard conversations. And today we go there, okay? As a thought leader in foreign affairs, global faith movements, and governmental insight, Dana's voice cuts through noise and brings kingdom clarity to the most forbidden areas of influence: politics, religion, and public policy. She's helped leaders, policymakers, and kingdom citizens alike find language, boldness, and prophetic alignment for this era. Get ready, guys. This conversation is just not informative, but it's formational. Help me welcome to the Global Leaders Roundtable, Fireside Chat Edition, the bold, the brilliant, my new friend, Dana Carter.
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
How are you? How's everything going? How's life?
It's great. A lot of doors has been opening. I've been
Good,
speaking more, and now we're doing Facebook Live with my clients and stuff. So
good.
that's going pretty well and getting a lot of exposure.
Yeah,
I'm used to being so far in the background,
yeah, I know. With the work you
you
do,
know.
though.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so this is all new for me, being
Okay.
seen and talking on platforms and stuff. But
Mm.
normally, whatever I do is in the background or it's in private or it's in a place where it's offline. And
Yeah.
so this is different.
Well, it's different, but it's necessary,
Yeah.
especially in these days. We
Hmm.
need voices like you that's going to push us, force us, encourage us to look at some of the hard truths that's
Hmm.
happening, not just in the nation of America, but in multiple nations in our global community. So thank you for saying yes and for
Thank
stepping
you.
out there.
Appreciate the opportunity as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so we are getting ready to have the forbidden speech, forbidden conversation. But before we do that, I want you to officially introduce yourself to our audience. What part of the world are you in, and talk a little bit about what God has you doing right now in your work in your industry.
I'm located in Texas,
Hmm.
and what I am is a legal negotiator.
Okay.
And this is a job that I feel like God created this space for me. I started off in doing mediation,
Okay.
and the type of cases I was getting, it was beyond mediation, because with mediation, you can't be biased. You have to, and you can't resolve the issues. You have to ask certain questions that lead to certain thought patterns and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And so, it's just a different type of thing. It's very beneficial
Hmm.
because it's cheaper. Is sometimes you need a mediator more than you need a lawyer. A
Right.
lawyer
Okay.
is there when the groundwork has been done, has been sealed, and there's just no way of coming to an agreement. So
Okay.
most of the time, judges, I would say 90% of the time, will send a case back into mediation or
Hmm.
started in mediation because not enough groundwork has been laid. And
Okay.
so I started getting, cases that, you know, kind of like landlord and tenant issues and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But then
Hmm.
I started experiencing discrimination, and
Mm.
I started winning my own cases.
Come
and
on.
so, and so because the EEOC was there in my first case, and that was with JP Morgan and Chase.
Okay.
And you talk about my dream of staying in a company that was big enough to carry me for the rest of
Yes,
my life.
of course.
That was painful.
Mm.
And I was just targeted. I was just targeted because I was a black person, and I didn't know this existed, especially from being in the South. I was a black person that was a threat. And so
Mm.
when you are not, you don't wear long, long, long nails, and you don't look like you're going to stay in that environment for a long period of time, and you're not gossiping about your baby daddy,
Yep.
they
Yep.
will target you. And
Wow.
you are a threat to some people in the environment. And a lot of doors was opening up for me. I was asked to facilitate. I hadn't even been in Chase less than, it wasn't even 2 months, and I
Hmm.
was asked to help facilitate their leadership program for 12th graders.
Hmm.
They found out in talking just to a girl, we were talking about, their program, and she wanted to be more fun. And I said, oh, I used to work for the Boys and Girls Club and facilitate programs. I could
Hmm.
probably create something from scratch. Met with their program director and everything, got on the team. And lo and behold, somebody found out that I was on a team who was not my boss. She was actually my boss's boss,
Mm.
and went to the people and said, no, she can't be on the team. She's a dummy.
Wow.
So
Really?
Satan is real on these jobs. So
Okay.
y'all not going crazy when y'all experience certain things. People have entities within them, and they will target you. They don't even know why they're targeting you. And so,
Yeah.
make a long story short, I got lied on because they had been trying to get me out for a whole year. And I don't know what this woman saw and what she was afraid of, but I know she didn't want me to go past where I was. And so I worked in the corporate section of Chase.
Okay.
That's why I heard it so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was in an area where it's really hard to get into, and it takes time. And so, I skipped the whole banking process and all that other stuff. I got into this area,
Okay.
and ended up with the EEOC, and I had to guide the EEOC and where to look and do this and do that, because there were certain things that I did to make sure there were footprints within the system to show, hey, something is wrong. And
Mm.
so I know that's some 007 stuff
No,
right
I
there,
love
but
it. I
God
love
will
it.
give you wisdom in a
Yes.
situation like that. And
Yes.
so the EEOC lady said, you're smart. I'm going to give the lawyer for Chase your number and I'm gonna give you her number and you could talk to her. She said, you could do this on your own. You don't even realize how smart you are. And I
Mm,
said, ma'am, this is Chase's lawyers. They have multiple degrees. I'm still trying to get mine, and so
right.
she was confident and I wasn't. I was like, baby, I need you. And so I ended up talking to Chase's lawyer
Okay.
and just battling with common sense. I didn't know the law. I didn't know anything. I just knew how to argue. I knew how to debate. And
Okay.
so she said, oh, well, let's talk again. Right. And so she brought somebody else on. And so I'm battling both of them. And she said, well, let's talk again. And she brought somebody else. This is like dealing with Jehovah's Witness.
I'm-
They're going to bring somebody back. And so I'm battling with these three people, these
okay.
dynamic people with these awesome backgrounds.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, God, what is this? And the last call, she called me back and she said, what we're going to do is give you a year worth of pay, which is like $30,000 to $40,000.
Wow.
So that was the first like true big case that I won. And so my family, they started seeing me win different things for different people and my
Mhm.
friends. And so people just started coming and, hey, can you help me with this? And, oh, can you help me with that?
Right.
And then I got into business banking or business funding. I was working with the Italians and the Jews in
Uh-oh.
California.
Yeah.
And they taught me a lot about sales. I had already had a sales background because I did a lot of fundraising.
Okay.
And so I got with these different companies, did very well. But again, I'm not supposed to be making money. My boss actually said it. He said, you're not supposed to be making this much because it
Wow.
was happening so fast for me. Now, there were other, people, African American, not at the first one. I was the only female and the only Black person in that one.
Hmm.
But I learned a lot from those men. And because of the way I carried myself, I never had any problems.
Right.
But the second one, he was Italian. And I'm sorry, somebody is coming home.
You're good.
He was Italian. And, I was exceeding above what the other Black people were doing who had been there longer than me.
Okay.
And so he saw the rate and the type of businesses that were coming and staying. Because I was on oil deals, I was on, military car deals. And so
Wow.
it's just like things were just happening. And it got to the point where, the clients who were majority Caucasian would say, hey, you should talk to investors on our behalf. And it was just different clients in different states saying the same thing at the same
Hmm.
time. And
Hmm.
so things just kind of evolved. I ended up still in kind of like business and helping startups and stuff, but kind of on the legal side, helping them with business plans and pitch decks, and then doing legal negotiations as well.
Wow. I mean, the work that you're doing is beyond phenomenal and
Oh, thanks.
beyond necessary. I heard you say, though, that a lot of people come to you before they even go to an attorney or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Um, this is a more affordable route.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Um, so, but you are literally, and you've been doing this for how long?
I want to say like 10, 15 years,
Wow.
a little bit
And
longer.
so you have literally made a name. Well, God has established you in this
Yeah.
space. But
Yeah.
the reason I ask that is because so many people, especially in leadership and who are building companies and businesses from the ground up or from marginalized communities, they don't even know legal negotiators exist.
Right.
They don't even know that the work you do is something that people are doing every day, and they're being totally successful
It's
doing it.
truly a space that I feel God gave to me.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because I was so good at negotiating and debating because I'm pre-court services.
Right.
So I'm not going through the courts. I'm not playing their game. I'm not whatever. And so that means that if the judge is acting crazy on a case, I can
Mhm.
write that judge and say, hey, I'm a part of such and such. And just let them know, be aware that, hey, I'm a third party person watching it. Right. And so I just went through a situation where the judge was allowing the bonds people and this Russian lawyer who's connected to Putin
Mhm.
to scam the person who needed the ankle monitor. And
Mhm.
so they started off with charging them $4,700. Now, this is a monitor that they needed to go pick up. And what they did was they didn't go pick it up. Plus, it was defected. So it
Mhm.
kept going off and doing weird stuff. But by court order, they needed to go pick this thing up and they didn't. So they started charging the family for this ankle monitor. And come to find out, I did a little bit of research and stuff because they hired me.
Mhm.
And come to find out, the bonds people was doing all kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
so this was on record that they were in the pre-trial cases for most people, they were
Mhm.
always scamming. So this wasn't nothing new. So the first thing they did was give him a bill for $4,700.
Mhm.
Then they came back and subpoena for them to go to court to give them $25,000. And
Mhm.
so I wrote the judge and say, hey, I'm aware of this is going on. Federal is also aware. We're watching the courts, blah, blah, blah. She said, don't write my courts no more. And she has the right, she has a right to do that,
Right.
right?
For
She has a
sure.
right to feel, however she feels. It's only happened to me at least 3 times in
Yeah.
my entire career. And in those 3 times, there was corrupt stuff going on. And so I knew then she was getting some money, probably under the table. And
Mhm.
so she goes into court and says that I'm fake and all this other stuff and put all this fear in my client's heart. And so she also wrote to me, but some kind of way the mail went backwards and all. So, I had to write the head judge for her area and her district and
Mhm.
let him know, hey, so and so, this is what was happening in her court. I did write to her. She asked me not to, contact the court, so I'm contacting you because I need to let her know that I did receive her letter. I'm not trying to ignore her or anything, but it did go backwards for whatever reason.
Right.
And I have to wait to get it, but I'm sending this letter to her through you so that she can understand what's going on and not be offended or think that I'm trying to ignore her or whatever.
Right.
And, in my letter, I explained what was going on and why I had wrote the letter. And I also said, but she said something that, I was a fake person or whatever. And I explained, look, I'm a court appointed mediator in 2 states.
Mhm.
I'm also part of the Order of the Sword and Shield.
Mhm.
And I have a military certification for intelligence. So I'm a real person.
Right.
And
Right.
so I don't know what happened. All I know is a few days after sending that letter to the head person, they dismissed that case and put it
Wow.
in the correct county. So it's a lot going on. And sometimes you just have to assert yourself a certain way where they know you mean business, but at the same time, you're not out to be vindictive towards them.
Of course.
These
Of course.
people higher up, especially in the federal, they know that I'm not a part of the Republican or Democrat. I don't push issues
Mhm.
for people in the
Any
bag
party. Yeah.
politics. Right? And so I am truly about standing up for the people and stuff like that, but also holding leadership accountable for what they
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
And so they can't really get angry at me because it's like, well, you are doing wrong.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I'm not a real threat.
Right.
I'm not a part of some I'm not a part of Black Panthers or anything that they deem could hurt them
Mhm.
or that could start some type of anarchy or whatever. So a
Yeah.
lot of times they listen to me, they take my information. If I write to the DOJ and I say, hey, we went the correct route. This person has been to court. This person has such and such. I tried to negotiate. We're not getting anywhere. Can you please investigate such and such?
Mhm.
And 90% of the time they'll do it.
It sounds like to me that these systems, and I know this to be fact, to be honest, just in experience of people that I know who have
Mm-hmm.
had to be in courts and things of that nature for a number of different reasons. It sounds like to me that this is in fact a system. Now, I don't think people really understand
Mm-hmm.
that the justice and judicial branch, it is a system.
Right.
And that means there are protocols, there are things put in place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you think that they're put in place to hold you up or
Right.
put in place to edify you and move you forward. I think both. I think
Right.
there are certain things that are put in place to, save and to protect and to serve and to do all those things. But I also think that there are some things that have been set in place systematically to
Mm-hmm.
marginalize and continue to um, alienate and marginalize communities.
Uh-huh.
But it means that to me, you have to know your stuff. You have to know the system.
Right.
You have to know how to communicate. You have to know where to go, what to do. Now you have years of experience. What would you say to a person who they're new to hearing all of this type of language even? They don't
Mm-hmm.
know the first thing to do to keep themselves, to keep their businesses, their ministries, their organizations
Mm-hmm.
protected and respected. What are some of the things that people can begin to do to educate themselves?
um Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon in the library. Always look for, how to protect your entity. Books, on just protecting the name, because
Okay.
sometimes the name alone will be attacked. Sometimes people will take a business name and use it on platforms they're not supposed to be using it on, or
Right.
they may take your actual name and use it, right?
Hmm.
And so another thing is, if Yelp or any of the websites or Google review does not serve you, meaning you have a lot of customers or you are aware of what makes your business run correctly when it comes down to marketing and securing people. If Google review and some of these Yelp, anything that's like a listing, if it does not serve you, don't use it.
Hmm.
Because especially if you're African American and if you're making any type of money, there will be people to add reviews to your stuff that you have not worked with,
Mm.
and it's set up that way for a reason.
So,
And
so
then
and
sometimes,
they allow that to happen.
yeah, exactly. And so what Google does is when you call and you try to straighten things out and say, well, hey, I never worked with that person, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, Google's going to say, well, you can make a comment below, or you can pay for such and such, right?
Wow.
And so the more corrupt companies, you could tell most of the time when the reviews are paid for, because it's going to be like somebody who, well, I visit them and da 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 da, or they may say they heard, or they're going to use certain words that's going to be a key factor where you're like, oh, this is not a real review,
A real
because some
review.
people with bad businesses, they pay for good reviews. They
Yeah.
pay for certain type of local guides and different people to make the business look a certain way, and hope that people don't find out. When you see a whole bunch of fives and then you go down and you see one and you see all of these major incidents, they're paying for reviews most of the time.
Mm.
So I would say find out what is the best way to secure clients, and have them, when you do well, have them to email you
Right.
a recommendation letter or something of that nature, or something that you can put online on your website, so
Hmm.
that when things come up, you have your real reviews
Hmm.
available for people to see.
Would you say having a legal negotiator like yourself, would you say that it's important to have you like on retainer or something like that on someone's team if they're needing assistance, or is it just you with a case by case situation? How does that
So
work?
I figured the best way that my business worked was to charge a certain amount for whatever it is that they wanted,
Hmm.
and let that one time retainer cover them for 3 months.
Okay.
Because usually I'm dealing with people in a struggle, or
Mm-hmm.
they're in a discrimination case that is beyond,
Right.
unfair, and dealing with injustice. And the last thing I want to do is add in, my own pressure of payments and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, hey, the only way that I can keep my payments low if I get something off the back end as well.
Of course.
So
Of course.
I keep the payments low on the front end so they can get in the door. They see how I operate. They see how I do. They see how fast they move. They
Mm-hmm.
notice that I don't allow the cases to sit, because why? I'm not counting on the front end money. I'm counting on the back end money.
Right.
And because I'm counting on the back end money, they know I'm pushing hard, just like they would want me to push hard. You know what I'm saying?
To get it done.
So, they will. Sorry, my mom is home. So they'll see that zealousness. They'll see, wow, she's really consistent.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about them paying my rent. I'm not worried about scamming them. They don't have to, they get a free 15-minute consultation in the beginning. So, they get to understand how I operate in the beginning, even before they get in, even before they get in a contract or an invoice.
Right. I think that's so phenomenal, the way that you do that, to be able to help people push forward and win their cases. That's super amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of turn the dial just a little bit, because you talk about why it's important to speak about these type of things when it comes to legal and when it comes to the judicial system and
Mm-hmm.
how things work. Why is it that ministry leaders and more so faith-based leaders are afraid to talk about politics and talk about legalities and things of that nature? Aside from just miseducation or just plain old being ignorant in this way, why do you think it's been a tough thing to really have those conversations in that type of way?
I think too is the traditional aspect of understanding what politics and religion is, right?
Yeah.
These are forbidden speech. These are things that make us angry when we talk about it. These are things that not all the time we have an answer for when somebody asks us a question that is not of the faith.
Right.
And then sometimes, we are offended. We do get insulted, and we take things personally. And so I think leaders today, they realize that it's important for them to engage.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there is a misconception and some immaturity as to how there is a system within the Christian church world, especially within America. Mm-hmm. So sometimes what we see, and we're like, wow, why are they all saying the same thing? Or why is certain things happening?
Right.
And they got bigger pastors, or pastor with more money, right? Mm-hmm. Some of them are in Louisiana, some of them are in Texas, and sometimes they call Black pastors, hey, you need to get your congregations in check, or you need to vote a certain way, or you need to do certain things. And so
get your people on board with this.
Right. And so you have to be so careful, and you have to be very discerning, because either you're going to follow Christ or you're going to follow the system.
Yeah.
Church is a system, right? The kingdom is of God, right? And so a lot of church people can't distinguish the kingdom from the church.
Right.
And so a lot of things that goes on in the church world, it is not only damaging and corrupt, it stifles the growth of the whole, right? Because when you're connected to your creator, you should have answers. You should have some things that the world should be like, wow.
Yeah.
But we don't have that. And we have people that fight, for abortion and a fight for this and that, but they're not effective. And people leave hurt and offended, because us as human beings, and the way that we're taught in church, it is not beneficial for the world to eat from us. Yeah. It's offensive. And the truth is offensive. Don't get me wrong, but you don't know that person's situation. You don't know why somebody's trans. It's a whole lot that goes on into people's lives that is out of their control. And so just because you see sin that doesn't mean it's that person's fault. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you don't understand, because the Bible says to do the work of the evangelist,
Right.
everybody's supposed to be doing that, right? And so if you don't know how, and I used to, when I was a babe, I mean, like fresh out, I said, I asked because we were having this discussion in like the young adult class, and I said, most of y'all, when y'all was in the world, y'all was most sociable. Y'all got in church and y'all weird.
Right.
Y'all
Right.
saying stuff and doing stuff and y'all can't relate to nobody. I said,
Yeah.
that's backwards to me.
Yeah.
That's backwards, because Jesus was relatable.
Hey, what's up, leader? Quick break from the episode, but this might just change your speaking career forever. So listen up. If you're a speaker, coach, author, or visionary who knows your voice is meant to impact thousands, maybe even millions in the corporate space, ministry, or even the entertainment space, but you're tired of waiting for the right opportunity, pay close attention to what I'm about to say next. I want to personally invite you to a group called Need a Speaker. It's my free Facebook community of nearly over 300 purpose driven speakers and decision makers for events. We're building stages, sharing gigs, and creating real momentum in our speaker businesses. And when you're ready to go pro and get paid to speak, jump into Speak on Stage School, where we teach you about the strategies and the systems and the stage presence that you'll need to turn your voice into a thriving business. No fluff, no hype, just results. So pause the fear, unmute your future, and join the movement today. The links are in the description below. Hey, your stage is waiting. So let's get it. I'll see you over in the group. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
And went into
Yeah,
places
exactly.
where others might not have even gone into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think, I'm not against prosperity messages. I'm not against all of this other
Mhm.
stuff, because some things we needed to bring us into balance. We needed to know we can have some things. We
Right.
needed to know, especially those of us with, origins within slavery. We
Right.
needed to know, like, this is for us too. We can travel. We can go
Right.
on cruises. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And so, but we need balance. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so we still need to understand there is a life to be lived. There is a system that we're in,
Mhm.
and that in that system, whether we're on a job or whether we're in a grocery store, that we carry the kingdom. And we need to
Mhm.
be sensitive to the world around us, because the world is hurting, and the world is not really anti-Jesus. They just anti-foolishness.
Anti-foolishness, anti being beat up,
Right, right,
and abused verbally,
right,
emotionally. No one wakes up saying, I want to be abused emotionally,
right.
even more than what I already have been just
Right,
by life.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so you can't just look at a satanic worshiper and be like, oh, they the devil and they worship.
Mhm.
You don't know if that kid was born into that.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
know what rituals people are born into and they can't get out.
Yeah. And
You don't.
it causes a huge amount of discernment and
Right,
humility and being in
right,
the face of God. That's what I tell people, because you're going to encounter so many different people. And that's what Christ wanted. He said, preach my message, my love, my kingdom, all the way to the ends of the earth. That means
exactly,
nobody,
exactly,
nobody, I don't want anybody to be left out.
right. And the biggest thing is to be so humble, and to realize you are not the Holy Spirit.
Come
And
on.
some of the things that we argue about and fuss about is low level cultural stuff that has to do with the earth. It don't have nothing to do with the
The
kingdom,
kingdom.
and so sometimes you got to leave people alone.
Yeah.
You got to leave people alone and let them grow. And it's
Mhm.
something that in because I one time I was thinking about doing foster care and I had to take these classes. He said, don't make the plant fit the pot, make the pot fit the plant. And so what
Mm.
he was saying is the plant is going to grow a certain way, whether you like it or not. You're not going to put it in a pot that's going to restrict this growth. You're going to have to make room.
Accommodate it. Yeah.
Right. And so we have to be so careful in living with the fear of God. First of all, some of our church people now, the Holy Spirit and Jesus is always telling them something. And they write about everything. I said, well, I don't know that Jesus. Jesus be telling me I'm wrong.
Hello, and
I don't know. I
have
gotta
you on
meet
your
this
face
other Jesus.
crying?
Because I get corrected. I get rebuked.
Yeah.
One time I was talking with an atheist and we were debating and stuff. And God said, you're debating out of pride.
Mm.
You're debating to be right. Listen to what he's saying. You believe the same thing.
You do.
You know?
A lot of, and I was doing the same thing maybe about a couple of months ago, and met an atheist, and for some reason he was just drawn to me, and he came over to our office, and we just struck this conversation up, Dana. An hour and a half later, the guy is crying and saying, I've got to go home and sit with my wife, and I've got to reconsider some things. Because what I came in thinking I knew I didn't know. But I bring that up because you brought this up. But it was just out of dialogue. It was out of, you're a human being and I'm a human
Right.
being.
Love.
It's love. I
Love
don't.
has a language. It has its own movement. It'll guide you to
Yes.
say the right things. That's why
Yeah.
Jesus says, take no script with you. Because if you're filled with love and you're filled with Christ's love,
Yeah.
them words gonna come and you're gonna have what they need because God know them. You don't know them. You ain't that discerning. Gotta drop it in your spirit to talk to people on a level you didn't even know. That
Yeah.
guy could have very well been a scientist.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got some people you talk to, they minds be way up here. And you be like, oh my God, I'm talking to this person.
I
But
love it. I love it.
God knows what he's doing. And another thing that I want to really drill into Christians, when you have taken the time to train yourself and really bathe yourself, not just in the word, but also in just your craft or your skills or whatever the case may be. When you have taken your time to train yourself, be confident and know that they need you.
Yeah.
I'm needed in this world, because a lot of Christians don't even believe like they're called in that sense, because they look at all of these pastors and what they're doing. And, the church is meant to equip the saints.
Yeah.
And a lot of the saints is just sitting on gifts.
Yeah. And not equipped at all. But here, I love the fact that you said that, because the operative phrase here is be trained and be equipped. Like, I think a lot of people don't have confidence because they know within themselves they are not trained and they are not well versed in the things of God and his kingdom. That's number one. So we got to work on that piece. But I think also number two, maybe what the word says, or what the kingdom is all about. You've come into the kingdom yourself, and so you have that experience, but you still haven't done the work to practice on communicating the kingdom. It's one thing to know the kingdom,
Right.
It's another thing to communicate it,
Right.
And it's the same in your world, right?
Right.
It's one thing to know the law, but then I can go and communicate and speak at these levels that causes judges and things to really communicate back to me in a way that is respectful, that gets me results.
Right.
I do want to land this here with this thought and this question. What are some of the global trends right now, or foreign policy shifts that are happening that you believe believers and leaders should be paying attention to right now? What's happening in America and in our global community that you can talk about, that we need to be aware of and we need to be ahead of?
Okay. I would say that one of the number one things is the Black diaspora is being watched. and it's being watched by mostly our government. And that's why you see a lot of the manifestations within the White House and everything that you're seeing right now. And Russia, the whole thing with Ukraine, all that stuff, that's about expanding. And so in a lot of some cultures' mind, they are scared. They're scared that if a lot of us get into higher positions or own whatever or become head of countries, Africa is one of them. Africa has multiple countries. It's a continent, but it has multiple countries. And the closer Africans and African Americans are talking and working because of the internet, because of so many Africans being in places now where the internet is accessible, the whole internet, they strategically blocked out a lot of the internet and the access with Africa. So certain parts of Africa, they only see what Africa or whatever Europe or America want them to see. You know, so when they see our politics, they don't see the whole thing. They may see certain things a certain way to make them feel bad for an opponent that's really against them, right? And so they get a whole different set of news and all kinds of stuff that doesn't necessarily reflect our reality. So a lot of Africans influencers like YouTubers and stuff like that, they're the ones that's been carrying back the truth. Oh, this is what they're going through. This is what, you know, what's going on in America, while they get a whole different set of news and within their community. And so the Black diaspora is being watched. I will say connect with people, keep living your life, keep doing what you do, but it's a problem. It's a problem for them because everything has come to a head now. And as you can see, God is not playing. You know, you conjure up spirits and you do all kind of stuff and you think, oh, if I do this covenant, it's going to work out. No, God is tearing stuff up. You know what I'm saying? And it's to the point we don't even have to get dressed and go to war right now. He's just doing it on his own. So be mindful that your existence is important right now. Right. As a Black person or African person, they are watching to see what kind of moves we make, you know, what kind of deals we make. Or are we going to, because of this situation, you have a lot of people who have left and who are living in Africa. Right. You know, and so Africa is not as bad as they advertise it to be. It is a lot more built up, and they are developing programs for us to go and have land and houses. And so that's freaking a lot of people out, especially those who have a supremacist mindset. So just be mindful. Show leadership as an African American. You must show leadership at this hour. Don't back down. It is what it is. And you need to stand and say, hey, I'm for what's right. And you don't have to choose a side. You don't have to keep being placed in a side, because the truth is we drive the culture. Yeah. And what we say goes. That's why a lot of times they work on us and plant things in our neighborhoods and send different people, and they evangelize us more than we evangelize ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And so they work on us mentally because we drive the culture, and our no means something. You know what I'm saying? So when they see that we're not for something, or, you know, something that they're trying to get past, they'll go pick the weak. They'll go pick people who are compromised. They'll go pick the ignorant. They'll go get people who want to be seen, who felt like they hadn't been heard, they hadn't been seen, right? And they pay them money to represent, or to look like they represent, you know? So just be mindful that right now you are important, and stop focusing on this country. Make business deals in Europe, make business deals in other places, because guess what? They know our history, and they admire us more than you would ever know. They admire us. And there is a ton of foreign jobs that need us. They want us as advisors at the top level, you know, because we're fair. We're known in the UN for being fair, right? The reason why the Palestinian and Israel war started being called genocide was because of a Black African American person said it's genocide at the UN.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody said it is genocide. People
Right.
were afraid to say what it was because it was Israel. And as a Christian, no matter what your background is, no matter what uh, denomination you are, no matter what color you are, this Israel thing is serious. And you need to know the true history of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know who these people are in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand the truth. Get out of the glossy supremacist ideals of what Israel is, because that's what we have been taught.
Mm-hmm.
And so God is not a respecter of person, and he is not a man that shall lie. So he's not going to have his people just killing innocent people. That's common sense. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't develop this thing upon your heart where some people deserve to die and others deserve to live because
Dangerous.
you're misreading the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm. That's a dangerous, slippery slope.
Yeah. And so a lot of people, when they found out the truth of who these people were, they got mad at God. And I said, don't get mad. Don't get mad. It's all for a reason. You know, they blaming Trump in this. I said, no, that's a manifestation of our sins. That's a manifestation of our collective sickness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about him. If you keep pointing the finger at him and the Republican Party, you still don't get it. God trying to get y'all to fall on your face as a collective to see the sickness.
Yeah.
Slowly, people are starting to quit ICE. Slowly, people are starting to say, man, we doing the wrong thing, because God is waking people up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He
And
don't
it's
really
easy
need
to
us.
fall over into those delusions,
Right,
right?
right. And so the thing is, you got to love truth, especially as a Christian. You are in a dispensation in time. It's the best of times and it's the worst of times. It's the time to birth businesses. It's the time. I told people in the beginning of all of this, I said, look, if you got a business idea, push it. Push it, get it done. Look, it's only $20 to get a sole proprietor.
Yeah.
Go get it. And I said, start pushing whatever dream you have. I said, because some of these big corporate businesses that's been there for years are getting ready to fall. Some room, God is about to make some room for some people to come forward with their ideas. Because some of these corporate giants that's fallen, they got so big, they locked the board up. And they
Mm.
had officials to create certain laws so you and I wouldn't get contracts, so certain things wouldn't happen, so we wouldn't have access to government contracts, that the big government contracts.
Right.
Now they need certain things because our government is fractured.
Yeah.
So it's time now, like, you have to realize the value in knowing Jesus Christ. You have to realize the value in following your not only your dreams, but just that cohabitation with God. Just, you and God working together on, whatever business idea, whatever your calling is. Because when that's honored, you'll be honored. And
Yeah.
it's hard. Don't get me wrong, because the world be trying to keep you on that 9 to 5. The world be trying to get you to stay enslaved,
Mm.
and that's why a lot of us have so many different problems on these jobs, no matter what our race is, because it is a plantation system, literally.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so a lot of what's going on, they are losing that plantation. And now the idea, AI has two things going on with AI. AI is a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it could be used for a lot of evil.
Yeah.
And they've been asking AI, like this comedian or somebody had asked AI, what is AI? Why are you here? Or something like that. And AI responded, I am what happens when you don't believe in God.
Mm.
AI said that on his own. and a lot of people freaked out. It's times when sometimes Facebook machines taking so much data that they actually are thinking and they communicate.
Yeah.
The machines be talking. So they had to kill a few of the machines. You know what I'm saying? So there is a scary side to AI. And then there's this thing where I know God got it.
Mm-hmm.
Like AI
Spiritual.
is aware that, because AI get Christian stuff. AI get all kind of church films, and because we online, everything that's online, AI gets.
Yeah.
So I don't want you guys to be afraid of the future. And the church in general needs to be more open to the ideas of the youth, to, to the fact that there are some Christian Elon Musk right in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be so closed-minded, because they need you to launch them out.
Right.
They need you to help cultivate their gifts, to send them on the right path. And just because these people have to go into the secular field, it doesn't mean that they're not called.
Right.
And so there has to be balance in cultivating and understanding how to raise up this newer generation, how to raise up the current generation, because the current generation is missing so much knowledge, and they're missing so much information and experiences to, sometimes you got to catch them up,
Right.
And
Right.
so the preparation, be more open about what you want to learn. When I was in school, I was in a really good school, a school that prepares me for Harvard. And I didn't know much. I came from the Ninth Ward of Louisiana in New Orleans. I came from, places where you fight,
Yeah.
and I was not prepared. I was not prepared educational wise, but I know a man named Jesus.
Yeah.
I know
That gives you
who
the
made
cutting edge.
everything.
Yeah.
And so I used to take my political science book, lay on the floor, put my Bible next to it. I say, now, God, what are these people talking about?
Right.
And my answers would be so highly intellectual. They pulled me into the office one time and said, "Oh, we want you to take an IQ test." I started laughing. I said, "That thing about to be low." I said, "What? An IQ test?" I said, "It's going to be average or it's going to be low." And they said, "Well, your answers are so brilliant." And that's God.
Yeah.
They didn't know I was praying all the time. They didn't know I was half of the time freaking out and studying and trying to understand and catch up. And, but I believe that God is an all-knowing being,
Mm-hmm.
and that he can teach me and show me and enlighten me. And my answers used to be just like, wow, you know
Wow.
what I'm saying? And even to this day, when I'm in school or I enter into a school, some of the things that I write, they send people that's not even in the class
Yeah.
to read my stuff and to ask me questions. And I'm like, what are y'all doing?
To me, what is being said here is that God will give you the cutting edge,
Yes,
and He will keep you at the cutting
absolutely.
edge.
And
And if you
you'll
submit yourself,
even though you're in a systemic situation
yeah,
where you are meant to fail,
yeah,
God will make you look like you've been at Harvard your whole life.
come on, come on, and I know it to be true.
Hmm.
I know it to be true. So we've got to become nowadays. We've got to become much more astute, much more
Right,
learned, much more discerning and of understanding. We find that
right,
in the presence of God. We find that not just studying, although we need to be doing that,
right.
we need to be studying and connecting with people like you to be able to learn these systems and what to do. But also, all of that is of none effect if we don't have the Spirit of God, right?
And
If
let me say
we don't
this.
have the power of God.
Let me say this now that you're saying the Spirit of God. My friends used to be like, how you get into this and how you get into that and how you, we know you pray a lot, but how
Hmm.
you, because they thought it was just prayer. No, I'm quiet in prayer.
That's right.
I'm quiet. In the beginning, I'm very quiet in prayer. Even if it takes an hour, that disciplines your soul.
Hmm.
Instead of asking, let God drop it down in your
Sit
spirit
and listen.
first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I said, when you pray, shut up. Don't say nothing. Be quiet.
Mm.
Sit there and wait. Sit there and wait, because what you think is what you need prayer for, it may be something else. It may be somebody in Thailand. It may
Mm.
be something that's happening in the spirit realm, and God trying to save some children, and you
Right.
need to make intercession. I said, when you become disciplined in prayer, And when you know how to sit still, because the flesh crazy. The
Yeah.
flesh tell you, you need to wash them dishes. You need to go do such and such. The flesh be all over the place. When you discipline yourself and you sit still and you say, God, I need nothing right now. He know you need stuff, but you say, I need nothing right now. You are my everything. Sit still. And I promise you, you'll start weeping and crying. You don't even know what you're weeping about because the
Yeah.
spirit know.
The spirit. Yeah. This is what we call, guys, what Dana is talking about. This is communion with God.
Mhm.
And above all, we've got to be able to commune with
Right.
him. Dana, this has been amazing. I want you to share really quick with people on how they can connect with you, and connect with your work.
Okay. So you can look up Carter's Pre-Court Legal Services. The website will pop up. Our Facebook page will pop up. You can message me on Facebook, or you can send a message through my website. And don't think that, it may be a big problem. I can probably handle it. I talked to our, company. I'm not company, but country officials. Sometimes I'm writing to the highest of the highest. I sent
Yeah.
the whole, what it was, maybe like 5 pages to the head military people. So I go wherever God tell me to go.
Yeah.
And I don't let people tell me what doors I can walk through. I just
Yeah.
walk through them. And so I'm very confident about what I have because I've seen the results of just walking with God in this gift. And I can tell you that I've uprooted judges. And that's a hard thing to do, but it has happened. I hold people accountable for what they do. We have a system right now. Not only do we have children that's being stolen by CPS, we have a system where attorneys, judges, they are so corrupt. It's across the board. So nobody's getting justice
Mm.
because so many people are being paid under the table, and they've gotten away with so much. It's kind of like a
Right.
free fall right now.
Right.
And so because of what's in the White House, that encourages even more,
It heightens.
yes. Oh my God. It's so much lawlessness right now. It's scary. But at the same time, when you stand your ground, when they don't know what you're capable of, because at the end of the day, because I'm in a legal negotiator and I'm not from the courts, they know that I'm not subject to the courts. They don't know if I'm going to stand out and protest. They don't know if I'm going to go to the news. They don't know what I'm capable of. So a lot of times they just say, hey, what does your client want? Let's negotiate. Right.
Right.
And so they don't want the drama, and they don't want certain things on the books in the court, because I can write a letter to the court and say, hey, we did do, negotiations with this particular company and da 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 da, because I want that on record
Right.
that, hey, somebody did try to negotiate with them. They are aware of the violations, because usually when you get these really, really bad violations, usually you got 100 more people that's behind your client
Right.
that just hadn't found you.
Right.
And so you nip abuse in the bud by reporting, reporting, reporting.
Right.
And so you can find me on, we're going to start doing a lot more live, Facebook live, TikTok live. Right now we just did a live for Sinrick Wilkinson.
Okay.
He is seeking exoneration. They put this man in jail because they wanted to, 7 years in jail. And by the grace of God, nothing too major happened, right? And there's no court records. They never read him his rights. They never did the usual things that happen. The girl actually admitted in court that she was coerced by the police,
Wow.
right? And he still went to jail. This is the kind of stuff that's going on. So when you see immigrants just being taken, even though they have legal papers and legal rights to be here, it is that serious, because they're moving from one person to the next, or one people group to the next. And we're supposed to be last, or, we don't really know what the plan is. We just know God is messing up the plan.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't think that the case is too big or too small, or whatever. let's talk about it. If I can't take the case, what I'll do is because sometimes people don't have enough evidence and I can't take the case. I'll
Right.
let you know how to get the resources. I'll point you to some pro bono lawyers because some things, it may be violations on the case that you don't know about that I may see. And I may say, oh no, you have to get a lawyer for this because of this particular violation.
Right.
It's
Right.
something that I may not be able to work out because it may be something so far fetched that it has to be brought to the courts, right? And so I'm just a protective gate that allows you an alternative to the legal process. You don't necessarily have to get things done inside the court where most likely you're going to lose. It's already set up for you to lose, right?
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people who went in court, that's a blessing, especially this day and age. That's truly a blessing. Right now, we have so many cases, especially with EEOC and discrimination cases. There are so many cases. This country owe Black people some money.
Wow.
They
Wow.
tossed
Wow.
out a lot of those legit cases, not just with this administration. They had already been working on destroying the cases in the first place. And that's why a lot of times when you guys go to the EEOC, they say, oh, well, we couldn't find evidence. They found evidence. Sometimes you may have a higher person in the background who goes to these Black and brown agents or investigators and they say, do this to the case, do
Wow.
that to the case. And so when I found that out, I started reporting them people because to have a job like that with the federal, it means something. It's a good job with income and you can stay there for a very long time. But
It's
how can you
also
stay in a
meant
place?
to be trustworthy as well.
Right, right. But you have people who are supremacists in different places messing with these cases. They've
Wow.
been doing it for years because when a lot of civil rights was won, especially with Lyndon B. Johnson and all that, a lot of them, they just dressed up in different clothes, but they stayed the same. So
Mhm.
they toss a lot of our cases out. They get them dismissed. They do all kinds of stuff. They put stuff in our reports that's not true. And, I remember challenging the EEOC. I said, I want to understand how many people have committed suicide because you all didn't provide justice because you playing the game.
Yeah. Playing
Because
a game with people's lives, playing a game with
and
people's
a lot
heart.
of people lose everything in
Yeah.
discrimination cases, houses, everything, because the first thing they do is they mess with your check.
Yeah. Yeah. To cut off your resource and
Right,
your ability
right.
to live. Yeah, for sure. Guys, listen, I really wish we could continue, but this has to be one of the most eye-opening and enlightening conversations that we have had on this platform. You
Thank
guys
you.
need to connect with Dana for more resources, more information, more direction. It's good to have people in your corner and on your team that know the systems and that could
Right.
teach you the systems as well. It's
Hmm.
like Dana said, we are in the best of times and in so many regards, the worst of times as
Yeah.
well. You got to know as kingdom leaders and uh, as kingdom people how to maneuver through this season, these times, and
Right.
these systems. Dana, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate you so much for the conversation and the revelations
Yeah.
and
Thank you for
just the
having
nuggets that you've
me.
given. Y'all connect. The information is going to be in the description below. And listen, now is the time to become much more astute and much more familiar with God's Spirit, with
Yeah.
both combined. I promise you, you'll stay at the
Right.
cutting edge. You'll be able to overthrow and overturn and overcome systems that you never ever thought. I'm Kenyon R. Dudley, and I'm your host of the Global Leaders Roundtable podcast. We'll talk soon.
Bye, guys.